Welcome, race fans, back to SVR's S2 division for the Spa round. This is round 11 at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and we're going to dive straight into the reverse championship order sprint race of 5 laps, and then we'll get going as for the usual feature race very soon afterwards. So I hope you're ready for a fun one. We've got Irish Liquid and Simucube sharing that front row of the grid. Let's see what they can do given a go at the front. Meanwhile, be watching out for championship contenders V8 to Empire and Jose Luis Cervantes starting at the back of the grid. Let's dive straight into this fantastic circuit. Ready for the sprint then. It's 5 red lights. And it's dropped the clutch and go. The front two away nicely, but Irish Liquid spearing straight into the barrier with wheel spin, and it happens so frequently to our drivers. That looks like Christo's made it up to the very front of the grid, possibly P2, and then we've got a spinner. We've got a spinner straight away. It looks like it's run DMC. I think it was indeed. Let's have a look at what happened for him as he peels to the inside. There's a little bit of contact to the right as drivers are trying to find their positioning. Are we going to lose it on our own? No, we were tipped into it from a Coach Dave Delta car and reversing into the barrier. There's managed to avoid a bit of damage. Soft tyres for just a 5-lap race. And then we see AMAC has already been overtaken by Jose Luis Cervantes, by the championship contenders V8 and by Empire, as well as the craziness goes straight over the top of Radion down the Kemmel straight. There's your Delessi driver as number 35 Vice goes diving down the inside into Laycom. He manages to depose Christo, who had gone very high up in the order and has swapped around with teammate V8 who was already up to P3. We saw a similar situation for the championship leading Vader in the championship leading second place Vader in his sprint race. First lap is firing around the outside of Jackie's corner goes several drivers that looked like, was that Simucube or possibly the rearmost. I think that might have been Vice having a massive tank slapper going through, and he's seemingly unable to control the car with overheated tyres. Let's perhaps go back and see exactly what happened to Vice here. P7, a little bit of contact on the outside with Christo, tries to keep the car running in the right order. Christo going down the inside. There was a tap from the rear as well. A little spin trying to get back on the order. We've damaged the tyres. We're overheating, but we're also spamming that overtake button to try and recover those places. We get massive understeer into Puon, and then a spear round, airborne for a moment, and he rescues it without hitting into the barrier. But Vice and Irish Liquid with big problems at the start of our race. Sir Grinch leads them away. Jailhouse Chris is in second place. V8 Eater is hot on his heels. Simucube in fourth. Liquid Gecko and Empire, they're in sixth position. Christo back to seventh between the two title contenders at the moment, Empire and Jose Luis. Here comes V8 Eater, having already made the overtake, using about a third of his overtake allowance on the very first lap alone, and down, doing exactly what Vader managed on his flying lap there, as Simucube is in fourth. We got Liquid Gecko in fifth place. Empire comes out of the corner. He's running in sixth, and he's got his championship leading rival's teammate right with him as Christo goes for the outside-inside switchback move here. Let's see what he can do as he tries to feed out of La Source. Several drivers also fighting hard. It looks like Christo getting away a little bit more poorly than the Delessi car in front, and then the Bro Cargo of Jose Luis directly behind him as they tuck in. That looks like we've got Empire fighting around with Simucube, with Liquid Gecko as well, and Empire scorching his way into fifth position, but Liquid Gecko will not give this one up lightly. Empire managing to get through. There's a yellow flag on the circuit ahead of these cars, but it looks like they've actually sorted themselves out there. That was just a temporary off-track moment, but another huge problem for a Yamplacht Interiors driver. That was Simucube getting elbowed out of position, I believe, as they go through Malmedy and in towards Rivage. It looks like we've got a driver coming up the inside. We turn in, perhaps a shade early, but then spun around from the attentions of Liquid Gecko. Run DMC continues to fight. There's a little nibble on the rear from Christo once again through Jackie X as the drivers Concertina back together again. Liquid Gecko it watches Jose and Empire go. Jose Luis and Run DMC go side by side. Run DMC starting near the front of today's sprint race grid, I think, and then Empire there in P3. Jailhouse Chris is in second place and trying to hang on to the coattails of the incredibly fast starting 999 V8 ETA Championship leader as well. There is Empire in P3, having got away from this absolute melange, as we've got Jose Luis Cervantes and the drivers are going side by side through on the approach into Blanchimont. That's Run DMC just ahead of Jose, who tucks back in, needs a little bit more of the overtake speed. He's used nearly his entire overtake boost before the end of lap 2 as Jose to try and get him into a good position, but that's going to leave him hampered here with drivers who've been a bit more conservative over that boost allowance. In the background, we've got the second of the Delesi cars just running wide out of the bus stop. That's John P. Vice is in 11th. Irish Liquid is there in 12th position. Remember, starting at the very front row of the grid, and he's down to 12th, unfortunately, after contact with the pit wall on the way out of the corner. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. That's and there's Mushokif running, getting a nasty case of throttle oversteer there in P12. Mushokif doing the same thing. Nintendo's right at the very back of the grid at the moment, unfortunately, but Jailhouse Chris definitely hanging on here and probably out of position for a reverse grid in the championship, given that he has great credentials in terms of his driving ability, but of course joined the league partway through this season, so of course he hasn't had as many opportunities to get up there, but he's right there now, and I think he's loving this chance to take on V8 ETA, having held on to a fair amount more of his overtake boost. This is the use of overtake is tremendously important in this run on the sprint race. It's so tempting to spend it all very, very quickly running through. Then Empire ahead of Run DMC and Jose Luis Cervantes in P5. Again, a driver who has spent all of that boost and then some. Christo in P6 will try and take some points away from both Jose and Empire as we run closer towards the finish of the race. They're finishing out lap 3 of 5, of course, one fewer laps than the S1 drivers run here, and it is a true sprint then, a 5-lapper as Run DMC comes through. So it's a personal best lap time. He's in 4th place as we've got Jose Luis running in 5th, Christo in 6th, and then the drivers have started to spread out. There's Liquid Gecko entering La Source ahead of Sir Grinch, who's dropped to 8th place. AMAC is in 9th. Irish Liquid comes out of the bus stop just ahead of John P in 10th and 11th positions respectively. Behind them, Mushokif and Vice. Unfortunately, Jan Placht Interiors cannot buy any good luck at the moment and have been really struggling to get those point scoring positions through across multiple divisions at this point in the championship. The sky looking fairly overcast, a little bit worrying here for the drivers. There's a very small chance of rain, but when you're in Spa, a small chance of rain often is often treated to a fairly large amount of rain when it actually does decide to come down. As we've got Christo in P6, then Jose firing around and heading through that Pouhon corner. He's just losing ground slightly to Run DMC. I think Run DMC able to make use of the boost. It's massively important during the sprint section, but frankly, many of the drivers have put gaps on each other and are not looking particularly threatening. Let's go to the bottom of the grid because there is a huge moment for Irish Liquid. I think that was a full 360, was it? As we'll check this out once again. Irish Liquid was running in P10, but watch what happens into Pouhon. Oh, we touched the dreaded never curb on the inside, and I think we may have just either got some lag, some netcode, or touched one of the other drivers on the way through. V8 ETA has the fastest lap of the race. Good recovery from Irish Liquid, considering that, but a full 360 from him. Nintendo lifting himself as a result of that spin from Irish Liquid away from that final position. And then the Jann Interiors crew, both racing number 35 at the moment, probably need to just address that situation. Simucube right round the outside of Weiss. Looks like everybody, given it's only a 5-lapper, have opted for the soft tyres here. I don't expect anybody to have been risky enough. There's a big delta then between the top 9 and the rest of the drivers as they come through. I can see John P still a believer in Lewis Hamilton there with the 44 helmet, as we've got Simucube in 11th, Weiss currently 12th, and Nintendo. Let's ride with Nintendo as we come through, and exiting last source. Try and get some of that that slipstream. I think that's the great state of Texas, the Lone Star State, on his halo. And it looks like we are just slightly too far away to gain that extra speed. Yeah, it's virtually equitable with Weiss's Jann Interiors car. Through the Lake complex into Malmedy. And Simucube hot on the heels of John P, who defends on the way into Rivage. Such is that closeness of the contenders. Just checking out where the rest of our drivers currently are. Well, V8 Eater is heading in towards Blanchimont to finish out this race. Looks like Run DMC is able to be gapped from Jose Luis behind him. But actually pretty close here to a chance at an overtake on Empire. Empire could lose his sprint podium as he comes through, but V8 Eater wins the sprint. We've got Jailhouse Chris holding on beautifully, and then look at Run DMC and Empire as they drag race to the finish. Who's it going to be? Run DMC got it at the absolute death of the race, using a little bit of boost, I do believe. Let's maybe check that one out again from the chase cam. What was he? He did have some boost available to him as they go to cross the line. Tremendous run and great boost saving there from Run DMC. Jose comes in 5th, Christo 6th place, and then we have AMAC and Liquid Gecko, the Kimmy's Racing pair, coming across in 7th and 8th positions. Sir Grinch has managed to bring this one home in 9th place, and then it is all to play for as we head into the bus stop. Nobody actually going for a move. Jumpy finishing ahead of Simucube in 10th and 11th. Weiss is 12th, Nintendo 13th. Irish Liquid is in 14th. And quite frankly, I want to see that first lap once again. Irish Liquid is going to take quite a while to finish here. Let's go back to the first lap on board with V8 Eater and see exactly how this one went. Oh, if anything, we were slightly slow away. In fact, and I think that was a tactic here to avoid the melee as we go in towards last source. Everybody desperate to win the race on lap 1, turn 1. But look at the switch back from V8 Eater. I think that was a Bugsting car reversing directly across the grid, directly in front of him. Then we've got V8 Eater already up to P6. The cars are still fighting. He's focused on his exit out of La Source. He's looking left, looking right. He ends up going 2 wheels on the grass for an extended period all the way down the Kemmel Straight. And that's how you go from the back of the grid to P3 before you hit Lake Com. Absolutely tremendous from V8 Eater. Congratulations to him on the win, and to Jailhouse Chris and Run DMC for securing that podium, especially Run DMC in that one. Right, I need to get the next stream ready. We're going to go have a look at the standings. While I do that, V8 Eater leading the way. This is before the sprint race, of course, so I must make that pretty clear. So V8 Eater 169 points ahead of Empire, who did hold on to the championship lead for a decent amount of time at the start of our season, but has 145 points now, and with 3 feature races to go, V8 Eater looking like he is absolutely unbeatable. He's got 6 straight I can't quite believe I'm saying this, 6 straight feature race wins. He's added a sprint to that one as well. It's brilliant to see such performance, but yeah, questions being asked to think about dominance levels here. Jose Luis has 115 points in 3rd place with 1 win on his record sheet. 2 seconds, three third places, in fact, and has 3 figures. No one else is anywhere near in S2, with Liquid Gecko on 77, AMAC on 72. Nintendo and Run DMC are tied in 6th place with 71. Jailhouse Chris has 67, and then onward, still very, very close. Within 17 points are P10 through P4. Incredible. Jailhouse Chris, Christo, Vice, and John P, with Sir Grinch having only taken part in 5 rounds prior to this one, on 37 points. Hobbit and Irish Liquid, both newcomers, and explaining that Hobbit is Mr. Keefe. So that's why we aren't missing a Hobbit. And we've got 268 for Mega Racing, with 234 for Delesi. So Mega Racing getting nearer to the title here. Bro Carga in P3 on 192, with Buckstein Racing on 160. Kimmy's racing team have 153. Coach Dave and Jan Placht all have 3 figures, but are getting further and further away, unfortunately, for the title and those prospects. So let's just make sure that we've got liveries on all the cars that we came to see here in the qualifying session, and I will get everything organized for that qualifying view. One moment. Sorry to take a while there. Okay, let's go back to trackside and take in what we intend to be around 50 minutes of racing. I just need to adjust the screen as well, so bear with me. So 21 laps we're actually going to go for, rather than the timing limit. And at the back of the grid is Vice. He qualified at the back, or wasn't allowed to qualify. That seems unusual for Vice to be right at the very back for the qualifying session. Jose, way down in 13th place. Now, I didn't hear any issues that happened in qualifying, but he's going to start on the soft tyres, as is Vice. So look for these drivers to find a way forward very quickly. We've got the medium tyres for Nintendo qualifying at 12th, with Monsieur Keefe also on the soft tyres. Identical starting strategies then for the Jan Placht Interiors pairing. We've got mediums for Irish Liquid, who manages a top 10 qualifying spot, and Liquid Gecko also on the medium tyres then for Kimmy's in 9th. Christo starts on the mediums. He's holding the brake there, as you should do when you're ready to get underway. He's starting on the mediums for Team Mega. Delesi represented on P7 with John P, also on the medium tyres. And Jailhouse Chris, we saw how quick he can be when given some free air in the sprint. He starts on the medium tyres in P6. AMAC starts on the mediums in P5, with Sir Grinch qualifying very well and starting on the soft tyres, the 236, in 4th. Empire will start mediums from the second row of the grid, and then we have Run DMC. That was a very, very good qualifying from him in P2, starting again on those medium tyres. V8 Eater will start on the mediums as well from the pole position, securing yet more plaudits here in our championship. Can anything get in the way of V8 Eater winning his 7th race on the bounce? We've got 21 laps to find out the answer to that question. Hopefully you're ready for a good race. I certainly am. V8 Eater and Run DMC sharing the front row, Empire and Sir Grinch on the second. We're ready for the feature then here for round 11 at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. We have 5 red lights on, everybody ready to go, and it's drop the clutch and go, go, go. And again, V8 Eater very, very slow away. Now I'm starting to wonder if there is a slight equipment problem there in the hands of V8 Eater. Massive slide, great style points from AMAC there across on the way through into that La Source corner, and the drivers, after being a little bit scared from their first run here and their practice run in the sprint race, are starting to be a little bit more careful. Run DMC leads us then all the way down the Camel Straight. Empire's gone himself into 2nd place. V8 Eater is defending 3rd place hard, I think, at this stage. And no, he's fighting Empire, and on the grass, 4 wheels on the grass for Empire, for V8 Eater, as he battles with Empire. That was very dangerous, but he managed to hold on, and perhaps can afford to be a tad more patient, leading the championship by the degree that he is at the moment. Into Rivage corner, Jailhouse Chris leading the Brokaga pairing, who managed to make contact, I believe. Jose possibly just touching the back of his teammate. Let's have another check of that one. This is Sir Grinch. This is on board with Jose. As we run in, that was, yeah, straight into the back of our teammate. We've ruined our own front wing, and that is the cardinal sin when it comes to racing. Don't bang your teammate. Thankfully, though, it's only Jose who's come off the worst, although he is in the better championship position. Here's two teammates touching once again. It's Amac and Liquid Gecko going through Puon, and drivers getting very, very excitable in the early laps, early going. Monsieur Keefe round the outside into the through the second part of Leifania, and he has managed to secure 8th place at this time anyway. Nintendo in 10th, Irish Liquid dropping down to P11. Jumpy, Vice and Christo at the very back as well. Christo with some damage on the car. Let's try and see what happened to Christo. He's got the damage all the way back here as we check this one out. Okay, so he's running with Jose. He's got Liquid Gecko coming down the inside. He gets hit from the rear. That punts him slightly forwards. He makes contact with Liquid Gecko's teammate and then straight into the barrier on the exit of Les Combes. And I would imagine we're going to get some reports as to that particular incident. We'll have a look at that perhaps at the end of the race if I remember, because quite often I'll say we're going to do that and then I go right ahead and forget. Meanwhile, Run DMC couldn't care less about all of that going on behind him. He leads this race by a healthy margin at this stage, and he's on the medium tyres as well, so on the optimal strategy, I think, starting here in P1 ahead of Empire and V8 Eater. This is Empire and V8 Eater, the 999. Still in touch here with a potential win, but making it a little bit more difficult for himself with those slow getaways, which could well be a fault on the steering wheel for him. Jailhouse Chris is in 4th. Sir Grinch still ahead of his teammate, both of whom are starting on the soft tyres and need to get a hurry on here, and are not going to optimise their strategy by starting on the softs if they get stuck behind a bunch of medium runners. We're only that's a 201.8 for Sir Grinch at the end of his second lap. That was actually similar to the end of his first lap. No, that was the start. That was still just lap 1. That's madness. Okay, 201.8. Amac is close to Jose. No, he's not very close to Jose. He's got his teammate not far behind him at the moment, but in between them, Mushokif in P8, and then we've got the long run down. I think these are the closest battles. We'll just have to come back here and have a look at Nintendo, who's in the top 10. Vice in 11th, and Irish Liquid going side by side. Irish Liquid careful not to go too far onto the dirty side of the track there and narrow off the options for Vice. A little bit of wheel banging, but space given, no harm, no foul potentially. On the way down to Rivage, Jailhouse Chris, he's possibly going to lose out here to John P, who goes outside to inside attempt, but he couldn't quite get the car all the way to that second portion of the apex of Rivage. Through Jackie X next we go, and Vice has managed to open out the gap here to P12. Irish Liquid, who will be worrying a little bit about John P behind him. I think Christo may have elected to pit here. He has got onto the soft tyres, still got quite a bit of fuel on board, but hoping to perform a huge undercut here is Christo and get himself back into the top 10 to score points for his championship contending team Mega. That is V8 Eater and Empire going side by side. That probably began going through Leifania and Stavolo and getting down on the throttle at the perfect point, perhaps into Paul Frere corner. This is the run then, and this is just using some overtake boost. A lot of movement on the track there. Obviously it's not a braking zone, but a fair bit of movement left and right between the two. So it's a bit early for me to try and make any pronouncement as to who was in the right or the wrong, if anything. But V8 Eater, one way or the other, gets back into P2. and sets the new fastest lap of 54.0, spending the boost as he goes, and then he'll be relying on his underlying speed to open the gap without that boost, I think. Next up, the closest cars then, we've got Amac and Mushakif, as Mushakif will look to use the overtake, perhaps not try to get too close on the approach into Eau Rouge. This is perhaps on that too close borderline as we run through over the top. That's Radion, and that is Dirty Air, and that is Impatience on the boost as we look for a safe way to rejoin the race. We'll replay that from the trackside camera, because that would have been a frightening one. People have literally died making this mistake. So he was very, very close, gets caught into the Dirty Air and then spins across. Shades of Jacques Villeneuve through there, and thankfully didn't get catapulted straight off into the wall on the right-hand side of the circuit as the traffic flows. But of course, he's suffering damage, and that is just getting a little bit too close on the way into Eau Rouge, and then losing all grip on the rear of the car as you try to turn through Radion. Irish Liquid then promoted to 12th. Mishokiev drops all the way down to 13th position, basically the last of the runners still on the starting strategy. And Run DMC holding on to his lead at the moment. He will see V8 Eater in his mirrors occasionally. He might be asking Hector the gap to the car behind, and hear it decreasing through lap after lap, but it is only lap 3. Those clouds do look particularly threatening, and we may be into a situation where we get some rain after all. I will reserve judgment for now on this one, but Run DMC ahead of V8 Eater and Empire then. Empire trying to, I think, elongate this stint. He's not quite pushing to the same extreme levels of V8 Eater, who is busily eating away at his push to pass boost tank, but here he is, just trying to get into that slipstream. New fastest lap for V8 Eater, 54.0, as Empire is in 3rd place, and then there's a bit of a gap back to Jailhouse Chris, who hung out with V8 Eater in the sprint for a few laps there, running relatively low fuel and soft tyres, but now of course they're on to onto the race fuel. Jose has got by his teammate Segrinch with no damage on the car. Jose with damage, but of course in the better championship position. Spending some boost here, although Segrinch is approaching from the rear, and hopefully in team radio they're not surprising each other. They'll let them know. Probably, I imagine, Segrinch saying to Jose, I'm going to close in, but I'm not going to make an overtake attempt. I'm just going to follow you. And Amac in 7th, Liquid Gecko. It's 2x2 at the moment, from 4th through 8th, sorry, 5th through 8th, with the drivers. Then we've got Nintendo, whose teammate is leading the race at the moment, at least, in P9, in the beautiful Bergstein car. Talking of beautiful cars, here is the Jan Placht Interiors car, powered by Lamborghini. At least the stickers are anyway. For Vice in 10th, we've got John P in 11th. Irish Liquid comes through in 12th place. There's a yellow flag on the circuit ahead of these cars. That might have just been someone running slightly wide through Pouhon. I'm not seeing anybody stationary on the track map at the moment. We've got Christo in 13th. Mushokiev, who had to, I'm assuming, no, I was going to say pit, but he doesn't appear to have changed tyres if he has pit, and I'm pretty sure he has, because he has repaired the car. So not changing strategy at this stage, but I tell you what, V8 Eater is closing in now. I think that's under 2 seconds between himself and Run DMC. Both drivers on the mediums, on similar fuel on the starting fuel level, of course. They're only into the 5th lap now, but V8 Eater, I think, feeling pretty confident, as anybody would, with was it 5 or was it 6 races? It was 6 consecutive feature race wins, as well as the sprint race in between. So anything less than is now starting to feel, I think, for V8 Eater like a drop in the optimal result. It's an interesting place to have your mind, I think, as a racer. Looks like Sir Grinch and Jose have repassed each other. Are they just playing boost and slipstream tag at the moment? Well, the 236 Sir Grinch has got back ahead of his teammate, who, frankly, has the damage, and I wouldn't expect the car to be performing as well, but they need to be preserving those soft tyres or using the speed. But at the moment, not really hurrying Empire, who's in front of them by a couple seconds right now. V8 to P2, but not closing in at quite the rate I was expecting right now. Perhaps trying to stop himself from using the boost button at the moment and try and save some for later on if it is needed, particularly in the in and out laps. It's very, very useful when you can create that time delta in real time, and you're not blocked by the rhythm of somebody else, because you have to sort of change performance gears, not physical gears, but you actually have to change your mindset mid-race in order to suddenly go a fair amount faster. And that presents its own problems and, of course, its own risks. Nintendo's in 7th, John P is in 8th. We've got Vice, followed fairly closely then by Irish Liquid. And behind Irish Liquid, I want to call him Bailey, and I assume you guys all know why. But Irish Liquid then in P10. As he continues, he's holding on to his boost quite a bit right now. And in front of him, the car has soft tyres. He won't necessarily know that. It relies on you, A, asking either your live engineer or Hector what tyres the car is on in front, and B, it relies on the car in front telling the truth to Hector about the tyres, and C, it relies on Hector having been able to listen to that truth and record it properly. So you can ask and you can get an answer, and sometimes that answer will be true, but that's kind of the AI experience in a nutshell. Christo's currently in 11th, having got those soft tyres on, where the drivers around him, behind him anyway, have now pitted behind. So you can see that Christo has successfully undercut Jailhouse Chris, but he is going to have to extend these next two tyre stints. So that is going to be problematic, to say the least, for Christo. He may be able to use the softs and then one more set of medium tyres as we wait for Mr. Keefe. He's in 13th, AMAC is in 14th, so Mr. Keefe has undercut at least AMAC here through the pit stop sequence. Oh, my apologies, but V8 Eater has managed to overcome Run DMC. That was ahead of schedule, and I wonder if that was down to a mistake from Run DMC. Oh, I'm sad to say that is the explanation, and that is coming through Stavolo and Paul Frere. Now that is a very unusual place to lose the car. He didn't appear to be completely off the circuit. That was just feeling the pressure, the temptation to press that accelerator just the fraction of a percent more than perhaps you're used to doing, just to gain that extra speed down the straight here against V8 Eater. But that made life very easy for V8 Eater, who now has a lead of probably around 4 seconds. Run DMC performing a 360 and staying in second, no mean feat by any stretch. That pit entry is looming as a danger point for many of our drivers today, especially if it rains, but it is ferociously narrow, and if you happen to be pitting with a car in front of you, that is a very dangerous situation, because the closing speeds are enormous and there's absolutely no room for error at all. The Bro Cargo cars are still in 4th and 5th, with Sir Grinch ahead of Jose right now, and just crabbing the car ever so slightly on the soft tyres coming out of La Source. But these drivers start to feel the rear end getting a little bit loose on them, as the tyre wear really does take effect. It's a very dark day in Spa at the moment, and we wait to see if the rain comes for the S2 race, when it has so far stayed away from the S1 races. As hard as we try to go to rainy tracks, we haven't been able to give people what they want, which is a mixed condition race in S1. The 22 of John P comes through in P8. It's a good position for the Delesi driver, as Vice runs in P9. He's still on his soft tyres. He's actually managed to avoid any big nightmares, and is still on plan A at the moment. Behind him, Irish Liquid. He's on his medium tyres. It's lap 7 of the 21. This race flying by. It just does this in Spa. There's so much to enjoy, so much to look at, so many details, and of course battles going on. That the race will fly by very quickly. I wonder how many laps the medium tyres will go today, as Christo started on the mediums, had an unscheduled pit stop onto the softs, got himself back in towards knocking on the door of the top 10, where the points are important, of course, for Team Mega, who are fighting with Team Delessi. Delessi probably outscoring Mega at the moment as things stand here in the race, and so Christo will be having that at the forefront of his mind. He really wants to make sure that he is contributing strongly when his teammate is winning so many races. JL has Chris in 12th. We've got Michel Keefe and Amac in 13th and 14th. Where is V8 Eater at the moment? He is heading down towards this is Les Comps at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Run DMC not far behind, but that gap is growing as we go through. 54.0 remains the fastest lap of the race. Next to approach Les Comps, we've got Empire in third. Sir Grinch opening the gap now to his teammate Jose, whose front damage is starting to really tell in his lap times. 57.4s the last 2 laps. Compare that to his teammate 56.7, 56.4. And his teammate operating without that damage. So it's time to pit, really, for Jose. He'll be hoping to try and get to a point where he's got confidence that the medium tyres will run to an end and he can one-stop this race. But every lap he runs a second slower than his teammate, plus the time it's going to cost to repair that front wing, will be a penalty that he would rather not pay in his overall race time. Nintendo has John P not far away at all, as we'll join John P here in the number 44 helmet, although he's racing car number 22. Down into Le Fagna. Car getting, you always want to put the throttle on because the car seems to sit in that second part of Le Fagna really comfortably, and it feels like the grip's coming to you, but what you don't realise is that the exit of the corner is going to pinch, and you really have to be very patient through Le Fagna. Through Stavelot and Dirage Paul Frere we go. Now this is Blanchiment, and Jose has called time on that soft tyre damage front wing run. And John P almost damages his front wing, as it looks like this is the planned lap then for the 2 Bro Cargo drivers. That's going to help John P and Nintendo to 2 positions, naturally. Nintendo then up to P5. How high can Nintendo go today? I'm sure he's keen to get in the mix with the battle for the podium. But we will see if the soft runners who have gone on to the mediums, I'm assuming now, Sir Grinch and Jose, yes indeed, but Sir Grinch has a half-second penalty to pay next time round through on the approach to Blanchiment, and Jose has dropped some time here. His in-lap was actually faster than Sir Grinch's, but that can be sometimes down to the pit box being in different positions, even though they're teammates. We've got a spin. That's John P, sadly, has spun here just in the dirty air, but there was a little bit of an issue there for the car in front of us. Let's try and find you a good camera angle. We're going for the overtake, braking early, all looking fairly smooth here. The car, no, we're just slightly offline. It looked like Nintendo was starting to get oversteer as well, but John P losing ground then to those drivers who have just pitted behind him, I'm sorry to say. So things not going quite to plan here, but Nintendo's not far away from Sir Grinch behind him here, thanks to that little wiggle on the way through Les Comps. John P has got back onto the circuit. Jailhouse Chris dives down the inside on the Jackie X corner. Not an overtake you see every day. And then back here we've got a tight battle for the minor placings. Weiss ahead of Amac, Michel Keefe. These drivers I believe they've all pitted. Yeah, well, certainly Vice has, because there's brand new medium tyres. But I'm pretty sure they've pitted earlier on in the race. Simucube running out of soft tyres now. He definitely pit to repair the front wing, but again, looking to try and get to the point where he's got 11 laps to run on the mediums, which might be the ceiling for our S2 drivers today, or at least that's certainly what the drivers are anticipating. It's lap 9 of 21. We haven't seen the medium starters in yet, so the longer they can go, the better. Of course, they can then really lean on those soft tyres. I'd be surprised if the soft tyres ran more than 6 or 7 laps, even on low fuel, and were functioning. So that's certainly going to be an interesting situation for the guys who started on the mediums. This running through Pouan is V8 Eater, your leader. He's on his 10th lap, of course. Run DMC staying with him, and this is his best shot at a really strong result here today. Run DMC has a second place. Sorry, has a second place to his name back in Daytona, but since then hasn't featured very highly. He managed to net a decent haul of points. He's also had a P4 in the race prior to that one, round 4 of the season, but he hasn't featured on the podium more than just that one time so far. So it is high time for Run DMC to get with it as he heads into the bus stop. You have to say, looking really good on it right now. Empire still not even halfway worn on his medium tyres here on lap 10 of the 21, but I'm sure the drivers can't wait to get those soft tyres on. Liquid Gecko nearing that halfway point on his tyres. Nintendo ahead of the Bro Cargo pair, who cannot be separated for today. Nintendo P5. Nintendo is showing very well. He's actually higher than his teammate in the championship, having completed one more round, but they share 71 points going into this round, so they have been perhaps the most even teammates we've seen in terms of outright scores. Liquid Gecko and AMAC are also very close on points, but the exact same number of points coming into Spa. As Sir Grinch starts to use that overtake button, gets very close on the approach to Eau Rouge, over the top of Radion. He has anticipated the dirty air and cut across the wake at the back of the car. Here he is using that overtake button. A little bit of unnecessary contact, I would say, on the straightaway, as Nintendo wasn't really fighting that, didn't really give an indication that he had done anything wrong, but Sir Grinch just giving him a little peck on the cheek on the way past, I think, and that has hurt Nintendo coming through the next couple corners, as he has gone offline and Jose just walks past him. Nintendo dropping then. Of course, he's on different tyres. He's on much older medium tyres. The drivers in front recently pitted, but Sir Grinch up to P5, the 236, ahead of his number 24 teammate, and third place in the championship as things stand, Jose Luis Cervantes. So the Bro Cargo pair, you have to say, working together pretty well, with the exception of Jose damaging his own front wing. V8 to pits, our leader pits then, and it looks like Run DMC and Empire have gone by the pit lane. So V8 is going to try and do 10 racing laps on the soft tyre. Empire and Run DMC are going to wait a little bit. That could be an opportunity for Run DMC later, but you'd have to say that V8 is more likely to extend his lead, undercutting and going onto a softer compound tyre on his release. You can see a nice neat touch there, different camera box paint colours on the Bro Cargo cars. Let's see if Jose can avoid breaking his front wing on his teammate's diffuser, but it looks like it was just a little bit wide through La Source. It's a funny corner, La Source. It's so difficult to get right every single time. It feels like it's such a slow and wide corner that you've got so much more of a margin for error, and it just I never feel satisfied going through La Source that I've definitely got the maximum out of that. Purple sector for Jose, using the boost and the slipstream. Continues, I think, to make very risky proximity manoeuvres near his teammates, diffuser and rear tyres here, because it could be quite disastrous for Bro Cargo if they end up losing a 5th and 6th place after going together. And certainly photographers here on the track ready to capture the moment, potentially. But it's fun to watch, no doubt at all. A Mexican Jose against our USA Grinch here in 5th and 6th positions. Run DMC leads the race at the moment, waiting to pit, and Empire is in 2nd. We're on lap 12. Liquid Gecko is currently 3rd, but V8 Eater, I'm sure, will be able to get by all 3 of those drivers when they decide to come into the pits. We wait to see if Jose will go for a manoeuvre. Run DMC stays out for a 12th racing lap, but Empire and Liquid Gecko will now pit. Here comes Jose, just making sure he features in the mirrors of his teammate. He makes contact again, Jose, but puts himself on the marbles instead of being able to make an overtake and upsetting the balance of his teammate. They go past Empire and Liquid Gecko in the pits, who will come out on soft tyres and be competitive, I would estimate. Let's wait to see if they do feed out. No, Empire will feed out now into 5th place. So Grinch and Jose have the chance of a podium right now, because Run DMC will drop behind them as well. They have been looking very quick down this Camel Straight, using each other's slipstream. Here comes Jose then to the inside line, and another purple sector for the Mexican through Les Combes. Nice clean overtakes between the two, and working together. Now, how long will that last? Will we get towards that 21st lap and things start to turn sour? We shall wait and see. Empire out on brand new soft tyres. So is Liquid Gecko behind him, but a fairly hefty deficit here to close up on the Bro Cargo pair. And Liquid Gecko not only has a penalty, but he has a huge amount of oversteer. There's a Canadian flag on the board there for Gecko. I don't know if that's on the floor entry to the right hand side pod. I should probably just check that out. Is that a legacy of the livery designer? There it is. Or is he truly Canadian and racing out of the USA? I need confirmation of our Gecko's heritage here. We've got Empire running in that P5 and starting to catch the Bro Cargo drivers. Run DMC looks to be going through the bus stop. Let's see, and he's staying out again, Run DMC. Let's just compare lap times at the moment. 54.9, 56.0. Compare that to V8 to 53.2, his first flying lap on the soft tyres. Run DMC could be losing ground here, not just to the gap to the leader in front, but potentially could he end up putting himself in a position where he's going to lose out 53.5 to Jose, 57.3 for Sir Grinch, and Empire yet to register a fast lap. This is his first flyer after his outlap. I'm worried about Run DMC's chance of the second place running out on him here. There's V8 Eater in P2. Big gap, of course. It's just under a pit stop to Run DMC. So Grinch currently 4th, despite a 4-second slower lap than his teammate on the previous lap. So it's going to be harder for Sir Grinch to defend, because he won't have the slipstream of his teammate in front of him. Less they can do to work together as Nintendo. He's doing the same strategy as Run DMC, I think, running the longest here. There was a yellow flag on the circuit, but it's cleared very quickly, so it's not a big drama. I'm just thinking, as Run DMC now pits at the end of lap 14, dividing the race neatly into 2/3 and 1/3. Presumably that is the plan for the team, but I'm wondering if Oh, Jose must have caused that yellow flag. My apologies. Jose appears to have caused the yellow flag here. Was that before Empire got by? Yes, it must be. There it is. So let's see what happened to Empire. Is it Pouon going to be the nightmare corner for our drivers again? Now, he didn't touch the inside curb, but a big slide. Lots of tyre smoke. A 360. A restart as Sirgrinch goes by. Empire goes by. And that was a big problem then for Jose, who was the lead Brocarga driver. He's going quite wide out of Lefania as well into Stavolo. Looks like he's really chasing the grip on the car. Hasn't adjusted to the medium tyres, I think, at this stage. And their lack of grip compared to the softs that they ran, of course, for the sprint and the first sector of this race. V8 Eater will resume the lead of the race. Run DMC. Is he coming out of the pits? That's astonishing. Run DMC has overcut V8 Eater. I do not understand how that is possible, but he's done it. He put in a 2:09 on his in-lap. So he had a short in-lap, much quicker in-lap than V8 Eater, whose in-lap was a 2:22. Well, I am at a loss to explain how Run DMC has been able to perform an overcut on V8 Eater, of all people, who is running those soft tyres. Run DMC, unless V8 Eater's in-lap was a big problem, and now he's got a 1.5 second penalty. So V8 Eater, through Lefania, through Lecom, has had a problem with the track limits. Empire comes through, but the difference between Run DMC's in-lap and everybody else around him, 2:20 here for Empire, his in-lap, is out of this world. I was mentioning earlier on in the race how important it was to use the boost potentially during the pit phase, and it's proven to be. Liquid Gecko went a little bit wrong, and Jose Luis Cervantes went straight through on that run through the Pouon corner, which seems to have unglued a lot of drivers today already. But I cannot believe the lead Run DMC has got after the pit stop. He is out there. Wow, I mean, that is 6-7 seconds, something like that at this stage on lap 15 of the 21. He's on the newest soft tyres. He's not going to have to worry about them running out. Yes, V8 Eater has just put in a new fastest lap of 52.777, but insane from Run DMC as Empire has got by through Blanchimont, out of Paul Frere and in towards the bus stop. Empire is now in P3 ahead of Sir Grinch, who needs to do the job for his teammate here and try and get back by. And I don't think Sir Grinch is going to be shy in attempting this. Let's see, join him on board, shall we? Taking the inside line. Let's listen to the engine as they head through one of the most famous corners in motorsport. That was quite odd because it sounded like a lift, but it didn't look like a lift. As Empire is drifting on into the middle of the track. Jailhouse Chris pits, and I take it back earlier. The Bergstein drivers. Oh no, Sir Grinch was getting so close, and then just the dirty air on the way into Lecom. And Brocarga, who have looked so good earlier on, and there goes Jose again. Looking wild, just chasing the performance of the car. A little bit of overdriving perhaps on his own here. And it's just drifting wide. The balance getting upset and then trying to rejoin. More damage on his Brocarga front wing. And that is a big problem for Brocarga, who could have been, I think, today 3rd and 4th positions. Currently looking at 4th and 6th positions right now. Empire chasing down V8 Eater, who is in turn trying to gap here and close the gap to Run DMC, whose outlap was a 1:59. He has been electric on his pit sequence. He has practiced this. What an accomplishment. I am just astonished. I thought potentially some of that would be explained by an early pit box. But no, a 1:59 for his outlap. It's as if he has found a shorter pit lane, because a 2:22 and a 2:01 for V8 Eater and his pit sequence, a 2:09 and a 1:59 for Run DMC's. Just bravo to Run DMC for that. He has not only held on to, I thought he was struggling to hold on to P2, and he has held on to the lead and extended a very large gap to V8 Eater, who, as I say, is no slouch, going for win number 7 consecutively in our feature races. Win number 8 if you count the sprint. And I'll just double check what we had earlier on. He didn't score in round 6 of the sprint. Yes, of course. We won't talk about that. but he didn't actually receive points. Jose has had to pit with that damage, so he'll finish even lower than the 6th place, as Sir Grinch getting the fastest first sector at this point, which is good to see. Jailhouse Chris up to P6 now. Here comes Jose, and he will exit the pit lane. Vice will be behind him on track. Jose has put another set of soft tyres on. They don't run out of tyres here at GT7. More's the pity, frankly. I think you should have to do tyre allocations, but AMAC and Vice will go through Eau Rouge and Raidillon safely, and check out how much boost AMAC has held on to here. That is going to be candy from a baby. That's easier than a DRS pass down the Kemmel Straight there for AMAC into P8, and he's got more to spare as well, and saving that for the end. Now that could complicate matters for his fuel, but hopefully on a fixed fuel race, sorry, a fixed lap race, bit of a switchback going on there between Nintendo and Monsieur Keefe. Lovely interplay between the two, and down into Rivage Corner. This is looking like a good race for Bugstein at the moment. This is the fight for 10th place between Monsieur Keefe in 11th and Nintendo in that 12th place, the incumbent. He has no boost. Monsieur Keefe has half a tank worth of boost. Christo, another race affected for Team Mega, but the second Team Mega driver affected badly in a divisional race. It seems to be one of our headlines this season that has happened over and over again. Unfortunately, Christo, though, on the fight back, currently in 12th place and on very worn mediums. John P's in 13th, getting a personal best on the way into Lake Com. And Irish Liquid at the back of the grid, about to be lapped, actually, potentially, here with 3 to go, including, well, added to the one that they are on at the moment. Run DMC comes through Pouhon safely. Now just check out, that gap does look like, well, V8 Eater is having to feather the throttle, and he is very much overdriving. He's got those tyres filthy, and he's having to push the car when he least needs to be pushing it on those soft tyres. It's at this rate going to be a struggle to get the car home on his softs, but of course Run DMC running a strategic masterclass here and delivering when it matters. Let's have a look. 2 laps in the 153s just now, faster laps on average, or fast enough laps on average than V8 Eater, who is there in 2nd place, who will presumably start to go slower now, thanks to the soft tyre degradation. Empire is in 3rd. The top 3 are significantly far apart from each other now, and Sir Grinch comes through. He is in 4th place. Liquid Gecko is on the chase here, but his soft tyres are going off at a very alarming rate, and they come through, I believe it's the Ardennes forest in Belgium, where the humidity hangs around the tree line, and you're never really far away from a rain shower. Jailhouse Chris showing nicely in 6th place, and we have Jose currently running in 7th. He's on the newest soft tyres, of course, on the grid. AMAC in P8, who has lots and lots of boost, although he's been spending it lately. AMAC 53.5 his last lap. It was 3 seconds faster than his previous lap, so incredible performance difference using that boost. And he's got eyes on a top 7 finish, currently running 8th, with it will be 3 to go right this moment for the Kimmy's Racing team driver. There's Weiss in 9th. You're not lacking for circuit Spa-Francorchamps signs around this circuit, are you? You're not going to forget where you are at any point. Nintendo's in 10th. Christo now in 11th, because we've had another pit stop, I believe, from someone, or a crash, potentially, from someone behind. We've got John P running in 13th. He's on a 3rd set of tyres, if memory serves me correctly. And there is Irish Liquid. And he is being lapped now. There it is, the blue flags. And there is your leader, Run DMC, passing Irish Liquid. If he could rub his eyes to see a Buckstein car at the front of the grid, I think he probably would. It's a barely believable performance today from Run DMC. Absolutely insane, and of course using some of that boost as well on these last few laps. He is on the penultimate lap of his race now, and the race of his life. A 1:52.5 takes the new fastest lap of the race on lap 19 of the 21. And for his sake, and for the sake of our championship and our neutral audience, I desperately hope Run DMC can bring this one home, because what an astonishing performance that was through the pit stop sequence lap. For him, lap 13, 14, 15, out of this world. V8 Eater now really struggling on those soft tyres. He's got to do a long lap and a half here in Spa, a long lap and 2/3 in Spa on some very old, dodgy soft tyres. Plenty of fuel on board, too much fuel on board really for this race. I have to say, we do want to be in a position where the drivers are marginal on fuel. May have to put a little bit in, or do some management on the car like they do with the tyres. But despite the fact that this race is full throttle for one of the largest percentages, shy of maybe Tokyo Expressway, this is and it's a very, very long lap. We're finishing with a much larger amount of fuel on board. I think we're starting with a similar fuel load to the S1 drivers, who don't have to refuel either. So again, shorter race, less fuel potentially. Something for us to discuss in the off season, which is coming up. Of course, we've got 2 more rounds after this one. A round taking 2 weekends naturally. We'll be back in Spa at the weekend for the GT3 races, and then we go on to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit and finishing the season in Monza, which is going to be a real setup challenge for the drivers. Here is Liquid Gecko chasing Sir Grinch, and that he has caught the Bro Cargo driver for a potential 4th place finish very quickly, and that is impressive. Jailhouse Chris has now got by Jose Cervantes. No, Jose is catching. My apologies to Jose. I think Jose is now catching Jailhouse Chris here as the race nears a finish. Let's go back to our leader. Oh, a 3-second off throttle penalty. Tell me we're not going to throw it away at the end. I think he's sufficiently far away. Shall we see what caused that penalty? It must have been, was it on the way through Malmedy? It's a yellow flag. Overtake. That is very harsh. That is very, very harsh for Run DMC, who didn't really overtake. He did a blue flag sequence, but you'll take that. You know, if the game's going to do that to you, you'll take it, because the penalty for staying behind the driver who was getting a blue flag anyway and had his own accident would be more than 3 seconds off throttle. So I think in this scenario, you just keep your foot planted. But if the races were closer together and he suffered as a result and lost the win, I would hope that our stewards would let him go. A slow finish then for Run DMC potentially here, because he is running out of room. We've got Sir Grinch and Liquid Gecko potentially about to be in a position to overtake, but Run DMC will come down in towards the bus stop. He'll hold his breath as he comes through. An astonishing run from Run DMC. Hats off to him to win in Spa and break the sequence of unstoppable race wins from V8 Eater, who won the sprint. But V8 Eater will have to be happy with a second place here and a potential one hand or two hands on the trophy. I don't do championship maths well, and we'll call it provisional anyway. Here comes Empire as he runs down in towards the final. He's going to finish in third place, but it looks like Sir Grinch and Liquid Gecko have been close, and then suddenly things have changed for them. It was Liquid Gecko getting too close through Stavolo and Paul Frere potentially, and he lost ground then, so that will not eventuate into an overtake. I think we will see Empire come through. I'm just going to make sure we catch the final lap of the race here, where there are close drivers. Empire nearing the finish. He takes the checkered flag in third. Here comes Sir Grinch and Liquid Gecko to cross the line, but it's all about whether Jailhouse Chris can hold on against Jose. Neither driver using any boost. They've got nothing left here as they run across the marbles. It looks like Jailhouse Chris will have to defend. Will he in towards the bus stop? Jose does his absolute best, but it looks to me as if Sir Grinch is fourth, Liquid Gecko fifth. Jailhouse Chris holds on the old soft tyres ahead of the new soft tyres of Jose Cervantes to finish 6th and 7th positions. Amac will be home in 8th if he can hold on through Blanchimont. He's got Weiss not too far away, close enough to worry him here. As they head down into the bus stop, looks like all will be as we expect here. Amac in 8th, Weiss in 9th, Christo in 10th. We'll have Nintendo in 11th position, Mr. Keith in 12th, John P in 13th, Irish Liquid in 14th. But Run DMC ahead of V8 Eater and Empire, your podium today. Congratulations to Run DMC. What a phenomenal, phenomenal win. Okay, well, I want to make sure that all is good with regard to the race finish as well, because we call this at a point in time where we are able to check out the race results and any post-race inquiries or decisions. So we're using the website info.svr-racing.com, and this is how things finished. Looks like Sir Grinch was under investigation, but the only investigation appears to be for Sir Grinch, but we do have something for Jailhouse Chris as well. I'm wondering if anything involved Christo here. This was the first lap of the sprint race. This was with excuse me, actually I think I'm looking at the sprint race in isolation, am I? Feature race, sprint race. Okay, no, I am looking at the feature, but Jailhouse Chris picked up 2 points and 10-second penalty here, and you can see exactly why. Sir Grinch, a 1 point on his license and a 5-second penalty here with a lap 1 turn 1 incident with AMAC, but nothing around what happened to Christo, which surprises me, although I am aware Christo is a little bit reticent to raise things with the stewards. But yeah, all as it stood. V8 Eater, Run DMC, and Empire in the sprint. Run DMC, V8 Eater, and Empire in the feature. So congratulations to our drivers. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, staying with us through this much longer stream than usual. But yeah, we'll be back for GT3 racing, of course, very soon here in Spa. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next race day.